All right, hey, welcome back. Joe Mama here, just giving you a quick update on our trip to the Shattered Planet. We're currently sitting at 2.685 million kilometers of the way there. That's more than 5/8 of the way there, and for me, that's huge. We're moving along at about 20 to 25 kilometers per second. I've never been able to do that. I mean, to tell you the truth, I was actually able to sustain up to about 40 kilometers per second to almost 2 million kilometers per second, or to 2 million kilometer mark. That was huge because this thing is working. This configuration is working. And so let me go through, let's see. And the damage taken, by the way, is I've taken 177 units of damage, but the only reason that happened, it was a fluke, because I added these little collection wings thinking I would need them to collect up these resources out here. But I built the platform, but just before I could put the lasers in place, I got hit by a rock. And it was a split-second thing, but once all the lasers were deployed and that was repaired, I've sustained no damage. So the defense configuration is absolutely working. Also, the materials are going awesome. Let's see, currently, remember we started with 12,000, 12,000, 12,000 for our 3 ammunition types? And I currently sit at 12,000 ammo, 12,000 magazines, 12,000 rockets, and 12,000 railgun rounds. You can see that there. They're kind of bouncing around as, you know, they jump around a little bit, but they are keeping up. And production is keeping up. Asteroid grabbing is keeping up. Look at this. Okay, first of all, let's take a look at our current status, I threw the Britishism in there. We are here where this white line is at. You can see it. And we are dealing with 500 asteroids per minute with a very limited amount of resources. And we're hanging out. Look at all the extra asteroids that are hanging in the wings, just waiting to be processed. Tons of iron. We got tons of carbon. And over here, we have a whole lot of ice. Yep, you can't see it very well. There's a ton of ice that's waiting to be processed. And that's good, because if it's still in that, if it's still in asteroid form, that means it's still got the capability of being multiplied, like, what did we talk about last time? 6, 7, 8 times through the 3 stages of production, especially for iron. Okay, the production bonuses. So yeah, it's keeping up. All of the lessons we talked about are really paying off. And just another thing that I didn't discuss, but I did add after we recorded last time, is I added a ton of railguns. There's a total of about 12 railguns, actually 14, I think. Not 12. 12 railguns across the front of the ship, and also forward an angle. They are absolutely chewing up the asteroid field. And with so many guns firing, they're hitting the big asteroids, and because it's so dense, it's also hitting and destroying a lot of medium, big, and little asteroids. So the asteroid density is actually kind of helping us out, because each railgun round is destroying multiple asteroids of various sizes. So yes, absolutely, trust your railguns. Now, I've got them backed up with lasers and Gatling guns to clean up the mess. That's what this line is. I mean, you can see it's almost a distinct line of where all the asteroids are being turned into asteroid chunks. And anything that gets beyond that is just an asteroid chunk that's going to be grabbed. So, okay, another lesson learned. You need to change your configuration as things move along. Like right now, I've gone ahead and adjusted the asteroid grabbers so that I don't grab too much of one asteroid. Like right now, I was grabbing a whole bunch of carbon and I just didn't need it, but I needed iron. Now I've got a whole bunch of iron, so I may have to readjust so my arms, you know, grab whatever asteroid chunk they need. Okay, another lesson learned. The molten iron. Now you notice I'm storing an absolute butt ton of it. That's not exactly necessary. I think that was not really needed, but it does give me a pretty awesome buffer. That way, when I go to make changes to the system, when I go to make changes to the configuration of the ship, I have this as a buffer, you know, to kind of keep up production while I get the belts optimized, and optimization is happening constantly. If you've ever made this attempt, you know what I'm talking about. You just, as conditions change, you optimize the belts to match those conditions. Okay, so you can't like necessarily take this ship and start your journey with it, because this represents a snapshot of a whole bunch of changes, and this represents what the ship needs to be for me at 2.6 million kilometers. You know what I'm saying? So it was different. It started out different, and I'm sure it will actually end its journey different. But at least I think it's going to finish its journey. I think it's going to finish the trip. Also, speed modules. A lot of speed modules got swapped out with more production modules, because as conditions starve us of resources, we're going to need to increase our production. And our production is so awesome right now that even with these minuscule resources that we're picking up, you saw where we were on the journey, on that diagram of the journey. Not a lot of materials out there for grabbing, a lot of Prometheum asteroids that are useless to us, but yet we have just a whole ton of full belts of asteroids. So that is going fantastic. Now, how long have we been at it? I couldn't tell you. Probably about 5 or 6 hours, I think. I've been moving along at a pretty good pace, and that's great. But I couldn't remember where we were. But we're going to move a little bit slower now, because I set the speed for 20, and it is more than keeping up. Also, I did add more power production. Depending on how you configure your ship, you could probably do it more efficiently, but I wasn't sure what I was in for. But now that I am, I'm feeling pretty good about it. Let's take a look at something before we call it an episode, before we call it an update. Okay, power use has actually dropped a little bit. I was getting some clipping, which means the peaks of this waveform were getting clipped. It was exceeding my maximum power capacity, and the accumulators had to step in and fill the gaps, and that was happening. Now it's not happening anymore, which tells me that fewer resources are being processed, but we're getting more product out of those resources. Yeah, and like I said, I don't know if I said this, optimize your trash belts. I think that'd be the final thing to say, is because you're producing so much product, like right now, look at all this extra stuff that even in this environment is still getting kicked overboard. That means I don't need it. I've set my system up so that if it's needed, it would have been grabbed off the belts already. It even cycles past several stages a couple times before being ejected. If it's been ejected, then that means all iron production sub facilities, and there's a couple of them on this, have had a crack at that iron ore. You know, it's not like these are starving for resources and this was ejected and didn't get a chance to go up here. It got its chance. The iron does a complete circuit around the ship, and if it gets injected overboard, same with the copper, that just means that it wasn't needed. So I gotta get rid of it and move on. So anyway, that's where we're at, and hopefully you found this useful, and I will post an update later on as more significant things happen. But so far, at 2.97, so almost 2.7 million kilometers, we're looking good. See you next time.